What's up guys, my name is Guillaume, this is Thoman's Guitars and Basses, and in today's episode of Hit the Tone, we're going to talk about Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden. In my eyes. Hello guys, I hope you're all doing fantastic today and welcome to this new episode of Hit the Tone on Thoman's Guitars and Basses, the video format where I'll teach you how to play and sound like your favorite artists. So go and check out the playlist, see if we have covered your favorite song already. If not, leave it in the comment section below and I'll get to you as soon as I can. But today we're talking about the song Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden, starting with the guitar setup. In this video, I'm going to be covering both Chris and Kim's parts because they tend to play differently live and I'm not quite sure who played what in the studio version. But as far as the guitar's concerned, it's actually a pretty simple choice. It's going to be a Gibson. Now, I made the decision to go with that glorious 335 because Chris, later on signature guitar, but guitar of choice was a Gibson semi-hollow instrument, and the pickup, we had some Filtertrons, we had some TV Jones, we had some actual humbuckers as well, and on Kim's side, a lot of Les Pauls. So I think that's kind of the best of both worlds. I've got two humbuckers, and I think as long as you have that in your guitar, whatever guitar that is, you'll be fine to cover most of Soundgarden. So that's going to be my guitar for the day. The first part of the intro, the clean part, I'll be playing in the in-between position, so both pickups at the same time, and then when I kick the Leslie on, I'll be in the neck position. Speaking of, let's have a look at our amp and pedals. Now this is a little bit trickier because Soundgarden used a lot of Mesa Boogie stuff and a lot of it which is not in production anymore. So like preamp units, power, like rack power amps. But usually, I feel like I say that every time about Mesa Boogie amps, they're not used in isolation in the studio. They're going to be blended with some of the sort of more mid-pushed, kind of less scoopy amplifiers just to fill in the mix a little bit better, and they're used for their crunch and their sort of gain structure. In our context, we're playing mostly clean, kind of edge of breakup sound, so we don't really need that gain structure. So I went with the Marshall JCM 800 because I think it's a great sort of almost crunchy and it pairs so well with humbuckers. It's definitely not the amp of choice to play Soundgarden, but I think it's versatile enough so that it'll work at least for that part, and if you push the gain on even for the more distorted section afterwards, it'll work just fine as well. So that'll be my amp for the day. As far as pedals go, I'm only running the Tre Verb by Fender in front of the amp just to add a little bit of plate reverb. Now again, it's mostly a studio thing. I'm pretty sure the reverb there was added in post, but I don't want to, tell you guys, oh yeah, we used that plugin and that plugin and that plugin. So just a little bit of plate reverb to give it more of a roomy feel. And then for the second part, like the higher range melody there, we'll be kicking in the Microvent by Neo Instruments, which is a Leslie rotary speaker simulation. Now, obviously, that's the ideal effect for that because that part was recorded through an actual Leslie cabinet. Any sort of Leslie pedal, Moore does a really affordable one, the Neo Instruments obviously, Strymon does one. They will all work just fine. If you don't have a Leslie but you have access to a chorus, that might do the trick as well. I did cover this song recently and used the Julia by Walrus Audio and just kind of maxed out the chorus settings as well, and you get kind of the same wavy, rotary wobble situation. It's definitely not ideal, but it's also like a, plan B if you guys don't have access to a Leslie effect or speaker. I'm going to start by playing clean with just the Tre Verb on the pre-intro, the intro, and then I'll kick in the Leslie for the higher register melody. So that was just to give you guys an idea of the intensity of the reverb and sort of the speed of the rotary speaker simulation. But I really love that sound. I'm going to stick with it, and we're going to go on the final part of that video, which as usual is the most important, and is how to play the tune. And as usual, before we get started, please keep in mind that there are a bunch of links in the description box to help you guys with gear alternatives, to find the other Hit the Tone episodes, as well as a link to the tabs for this song. The one thing to keep in mind before we start playing and looking at the close-ups is that the tuning here is not right. And I know it's just really hard to tune like they are on the record, because they're just slightly sharp from drop D tuning. So right now I'm in drop D, so all your strings in standard, and then you drop the low E down to D. But on the record, as I was saying, I think they were tuned in 443 or like something like that. They're a little bit sharp from that, and if you're trying to play while the song is playing, it's going to be really disturbing. So keep that in mind. But there's a bunch of backing tracks on YouTube that are being played in drop D standard and they mostly played it live in drop D as well. So this is what I'm doing right now. We're going to have a look at how to play the song exactly. I think it's a really cool intro because it really like gets out the beaten tracks. It's just a very sort of odd chord progression, kind of chromatic, but kind of like it's really hard to figure out what key it is or what kind of scale you could play over that. I really, really love it. I really love the mood of it. Not really hard to play, at least for the first part. Then once you go on to the small arpeggios up there, it can get a little bit more finicky. So yeah, I think that's it, guys. With that said, you have all the tools you need to hit the tone on Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden. I really, really hope, as usual, that you enjoyed that video, that maybe you learned something new, and if so, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on the future episodes and everything else that we do around here. Take good care of yourselves, keep playing music, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.